Can anyone has any problems with not hearing my voice? Everyone? Thank you. Can we start the webcast, please? Members, welcome to our council meeting on Tuesday, 25th of May, 2021. First, may I ask Gary Woodall, Democratic and Electoral Service Team Manager, to read the webcast introduction, please.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to remind everyone present that this meeting will be broadcast live to the internet and will be capable of repeated viewing or other such use by third parties. Thereby, by participating in this meeting, you are consenting to being filmed and to the possible use of those images and sound recordings for webcasting and/or training purposes. Please also be aware that if technical difficulties interrupt the meeting that cannot be overcome, the Chairman may need to adjourn the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Members, welcome. And may I first say how sorry I am we are not meeting in the council chamber due to the current COVID restrictions. But I'm very glad to see you all here rather than on Zoom. Tonight, our meeting may feel very different, but we still have all the usual agenda items to cover. So I ask that tonight you are concise with questions and statements and try not to repeat what a previous member has already spoken about. Members, please be aware that movement will be restricted within the room. Please raise your hand if you wish to speak, and when called to speak, please stand for a moment, but then sit down before actually speaking. Members, you have already received a separate document with guidance giving information about tonight's meeting, so I'm not going to go into a lot of detail. But what I would like to say is a big thank you for your assistance in adhering to these restrictions and keeping us all safe. Item 2, District Council Elections, 6th of May 2021. Looking around the room, I can see we have a few new faces. So I would first like to recognize those members that stood for the elections on the 5th of May. The following members that have been re-elected to serve a further term in office are Simon Hibb, Bacchus Hill West, John Whitehouse, Epping Hemnall, Holly Whitbread, Epping Lindsay and Thornwood Common, Alan Lyon, Grange Hill, Michael Owen, Loughton Broadway, David Wixley, Loughton Fairmead, Rose Brooks, Loughton Roding, Caroline Pond, Loughton St John's, Judy Jennings, Loughton St Mary's, Ian Hadley, Morton and Fifield, Heather Brady, Passingford, John Philip, Thayton Boys, Stephen Heather, Waltham Abbey, Honey Lane, Ginny Lee, Waltham Abbey North East, and of course myself for Waltham Abbey Southwest. I would like now to acknowledge our new members who are joining us for the first time tonight. When I call your name, can I ask you that you just stand? This will allow us up here to put faces to names. So I would like to welcome to the council Kenneth Williamson, Bacchus Hill West. Pranav Banot Chigwell Rao. He's not here. Kaz Rizvi, Chigwell Village. Deborah Barlow, Grange Hill. Raymond Balco, Onga, Willingay and the Rodings. Chidi Wiki, Loughton Alderton. Jaina Georgia, Loughton Forest. And last but not least, Tim Matthews, Waltham Abbey High Beach. I'm sure that I speak for all members that I would like to welcome you to the District Council, and I look forward to working with you all in the future. We all need to work together to ensure the best outcomes for our residents and businesses. So to our new members, I'm here if you need advice or to act as a sounding board. Item 3, election of chairman. Members, you may recall that I addressed the council at my last meeting regarding my civic year, and I do not intend to go over the same ground again. However, for whatever reason you may have missed it, I have been assured it is still available for you to watch via our webcasts on our website for the next 2 years or so. So, for the election of chairman, I open to the floor for nominations. Could I have a proposer, please? Councillor Whitbread.
Thank you, Chairman. Chairman, do I speak at this moment or do I wait for your seconder? I think I speak now. Chairman, after a year like no other, when you have been chairman of this council and done it in such a wonderful way, because, as I said, this has been a year like no other, and hopefully we won't have another one like it again. And in the coming year, I hope that you enjoy a term as an unlocked chairman, roving our district and meeting the people of our district who are so wonderful at a time when we need bringing together. The reason I think that you're a worthy nomination for a second year is the dignity that you've brought to the role of chairman over the past year. It's required a different type of chairman to the usual, and in your skill set, you've done that wonderfully. It's meant a lot of hard work. Chairing meetings on Zoom is not easy, and keeping people together via Zoom is not easy. You've been not only a hard-working chairman, but a unifying chairman, because these have been times when sometimes we've needed to be brought together as a council, but also more importantly, we need bringing together as a community, and you've achieved that. And I think that's a wonderful thing to say about any chairman during a time, and this time has called for those special qualities. And I look forward now, nominating you for a second year, for you to have that opportunity and take the warmth of your character out to our communities that really do need to be brought together again, and so we can move forward, because not only are we getting over this dreadful pandemic, it's a time when we've seen the best of our communities and the worst of our communities. We've seen the best of people online and the worst of people online, and now we really need to come together again and move our district forward, move our area forward, and I believe you're the right chairman to do that for us in the coming year. So I'm proud to nominate you as the chairman of Epping Forest District Council.
Thank you. Do you have a seconder? Councillor Lee.
Oh, sorry. I'm delighted to be able to agree to be your seconder, because you're a brilliant councillor, and we wouldn't manage without you in Waltham Abbey. You're so hard-working, and, well, I don't really know what else to say, because you're such a good councillor. I'm sure that you'll do an absolutely amazing job, and I hope you enjoy every minute of it.
Councillor Murray.
Thank you, Chairman. I did just want to say a few words. Members may have noticed on the yellow paper, page 3, that I was one of the people who nominated you as well. And in fact, I'm the only non-Conservative that has nominated you. And I just wanted to explain that that was for the very reasons that the Leader of Council has outlined, the very reasons that Councillor Jenny Lee has outlined. I agree with everything that they've said. I would just add one other thing. I've done it because I think it shows that the Chairman of Council is above party politics. It's a non-political post. It's a civic post. And I didn't have a moment's hesitation in adding my name to that list. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. To the floor again. Do we have any other nominations, please? In that case, Helen Kane is elected Chairman of Council for 2021-22. I will read and sign the declaration. I, Helen Kane, having been elected to the office of Chairman of Epping Forest District Council, declare that I take that office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfill the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability.
Thank you, Chairman. You jumped me there. I was supposed to say thank you very much on behalf of all of the staff before you accepted your position, but I'm going to do it anyway because I would hate to miss it. So the appreciation from the staff passed to you. I couldn't put it any better than the people who have spoken before. Extremely, extremely difficult circumstances, and I think you've taken to Zoom brilliantly. Thank you.
Members, thank you so much for putting your trust in me and electing me once again to serve as your chairman. It truly is an honor, and I will do my utmost to ensure the integrity of the office that you have bestowed on me. Yet again, we face an uncertain year, and therefore I have made no plans regarding civic events or charities. Should our current situation change and when our future looks brighter, I will of course update you with my thoughts and ideas. Thank you. Item 4, appointment of Vice Chairman. So for the election of Vice Chairman, I open to the floor for nominations. Do I have a proposer? Councillor Aniket Patel. Could you wait for the microphone, please?
You can hold it? Yeah. Oh, okay, thanks. Chairman, it gives me great pleasure to propose my ward colleague and good friend, Councillor Joanne Shabernia, as Vice Chairman of Council for this municipal year, 2021-22. I first met Joanne when we were both elected onto Buckerstall Parish Council in May 2012. I know how much she enjoys being a parish councillor as she is able to support residents at a more local level, so much so that she stood for re-election a few weeks back and was elected for her third term. She has held many positions in these 9 years, including Vice Chairman of the Parish Council and also Chairman of the Communities and Recreations Committee. She has demonstrated her passion for developing her local community on numerous occasions, especially when campaigning for increasing and improving the local offering and amenities for our youngsters, and also increasing the provision of community-based services for our elderly. She was able to have greater influence on delivering upon these wishes when she was elected to the District Council in May 2018. In the last 9 years, we have worked on many projects together, the first of which was in 2013, when we organised a forum for service providers to engage and demonstrate what they provide for older people within Buckhurst Hill. More than 100 residents attended that event, and it was well received. We also both served as school governors at a local school from 2012 to 2019 and supported its transition from an infants and junior school into a primary school and then into joining the Academy Trust. As I have outlined, Joanne has a vast amount of experience in many different areas. She has a strong sense of justice and community and constantly demands more and never settles for less. I know that she will embrace this prestigious role with all of the passion that she has represented the residents of Buckhurst Hill.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Darshan Sangha.
Thank you, Chairman. Can I first of all congratulate you on your chairmanship for the council, and I'm sure you'll be an excellent chairman for this year. It gives me great privilege to be seconding Councillor Jo Shea-Bernier. I originally last year proposed her for this post, and she's done an excellent job through the new medium of Zoom meetings, etc. And I'm sure she will be an even better vice chairman to support your role now that it's face to face. Thank you, Chairman. And therefore I propose her and second her. I'll second her for the vice chairmanship. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any nominations? Any more nominations? In that case, I declare Jo Shea-Bernier is elected as Vice Chairman. She will read and sign the declaration.
I declare that I take this office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability. Thank you.
So you may now address the members.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for electing me and trusting me to be your Vice Chairman for the forthcoming year. I will work hard for you and support our wonderful Chairman. I'm truly delighted to take this role.
Okay, item 5, apologies for absence, please.
Yes, Chairman. We have apologies from Councillor Bannott, Councillor Kaufman, Councillor Mead, Councillor Mitchell, Councillor Owen, Councillor Plummer and Councillor Chris Roberts.
Thank you, Jackie. Okay, I beg your pardon.
Councillor Paul Stalker as well.
Noted.
Chairman, Councillor Nigel Levy.
Okay, thank you, members. Item 6, minutes. The minutes of the meeting held on the 29th of April 2021 will be presented to the next meeting of Council for approval. Item 7, declaration of interest. Is there any member that has any declarations or any item of this agenda? No, thank you. 8, announcements. Dear members, it is very sad, but one of my first announcements on being re-elected chairman is to inform you that Brian Hudspeth, a former chairman of Epping Forest District Council from 1991-1992, has passed away at the age of 88. Brian represented the ward of North Weald Bassett for over 12 years, both as a district and as a parish councillor. On the 18th of April 1991, Brian, along with the Lord Lieutenant of Essex, Admiral Sir Andrew Lewis, had the distinction of officially opening this building, and a plaque to commemorate this event is encased on the external wall by the main entrance. Due to the current restrictions, I would ask you to remain seated while we observe a 1-minute silence in his honor. Thank you, Mabes. There are 2 members here that probably have worked and knew Brian, and I would like to ask them to tell us a little bit about him. Councillor O'Murray, if you could start, please.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, for this opportunity. When Pat Seeger phoned me this morning about this news, I was in the middle of preparing an A-level lesson for tomorrow about political participation. And I stopped and thought Brian was an excellent example of the very thing that I was going to be teaching my students about tomorrow, political participation. He was always cooperative, always friendly, did a wonderful job for 12 years representing North Weald. My sister lives in the village of North Weald, and I know how much he was respected in the village. It's 30 years ago tonight, Madam Chairman, that Brian ended his wonderful year of chairmanship. We did have our strong political differences. You mentioned the official opening of this building. A fair few of us felt so strongly about this new building that we weren't able to attend. So we did have real political differences, but I will always remember him as a caring and dedicated councillor. And our thoughts are very much with his family, who I don't know, but his wonderful wife, Jean, who I do also remember with great affection, very much in our thoughts and prayers, Madam Chairman.
Thank you very much for that. Could I ask Councillor Richard Morgan, please? Could you wait for the mic to come?
Right, thank you, Chairman. Yes, I knew Brian right from the start of his career as a councillor here. He lived in my ward in Hastingwood on Harlow Common. Him and his wife, Jean, lived there most of their life. He was a great councillor, served on most committees of this council, a great ambassador for the council when he was chairman. He visited all over the district and spread the word of Epping Forest, really. Not only did he be a good councillor, he was also very much involved with Harlow Rotary Club, which did a lot of good work in the Harlow district and locally. He started off my own Rotary Club in the 70s, and he was always supportive of whatever we did. I remember, although he's a member of Harlow Conservatives, he supported this district as well. Of course, but what I was going to say was that he was in his year, throughout the year they used to have events with Harlow Conservatives. At the time I was an independent and was for many years, and I used to attend these functions, sponsored recently by Robert Halfland, and he also used to say to me, "What are you doing here? You're not a Conservative, are you?" And, but he meant it kindly. But he was a great character, larger-than-life character, and he was surely missed. I spoke to his wife Jean today, and you know, he hadn't been very well over the last year, so in a way it's a happy release for him. But our thoughts are with his wife and family. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Tonight, I would like to take this opportunity to acknowledge 4 former members of this council who did not seek re-election but are worthy the recognition. Unfortunately, due to the position we find ourselves in tonight, we are unable to invite these former members to join us. But I can assure you all that I will be sending their award along with a personal letter from myself to acknowledge their special contribution to Epping Forest District Council. Gagan Mohindra, member for Grange Hill, will receive a silver award for 15 years service. John Knapman, member for Chigwell Village, will receive a gold award for 22 years service. Brian Sandler, member for Chigwell Row, will receive a gold award for 23 years service. And Maggie McEwen, member for High Ongar, Willingale and the Rodings, will receive a gold award for 25 years service. I'm sure that I speak for you by thanking Gagan, John, Brian and Maggie for making such wonderful commitment to our community and wish them well with their newfound free time or other commitments. Members, to comply with restrictions, may I ask that all commendations for the former members are restricted to group leaders only, but I will allow Councillor Murray to speak as well. Councillor Chris Whitbread, please.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Chairman, it's a wonderful opportunity to say thank you, in particular to these 4 members. John Knapman, who I remember well and sparred with and was a good group colleague with over many years. Brian Sandler, one of the most loyal friends you could have, and a first-class group member, first-class councillor for Chigwell Row, and always there to give you good advice and sound advice whenever you needed it. Gagan, I'm sure we'll still be seeing on a regular basis, although he's taken to other benches now. In fact, we was with him just on Saturday night, so we get to see Gagan on a regular basis, and he was a brilliant councillor for Chigwell as well, and done a lot of good work during his time on the district council, and he'll be much missed from within our group in the years ahead. And then a special word for Maggie McEwen. Maggie served at every level in the district council. She was leader, she was housing portfolio holder, she took on a number of different roles in the council. I think she almost covered all of them. And she was dedicated to being the best councillor she could be for local people. And very, very, her integrity, you could never falter. So all 4 of them are worthy of our remembering them and their roles for our council, and wishing them all the well for the future. And as you said, if they get any time off, to enjoy it. I don't think they will somehow. Thank you.
Thank you. Caroline Pond.
Thank you, Chairman. I don't think I've got anything to add to what Chris has said, in that we thank them very much for their service, very long service, and wish them all the best in the future.
Thank you very much. Stephen Neville.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I'd like to echo the comments made by the Leader of the Council and and the Leader of the LRA Group. But I'd just like to especially mention John Natman. I felt he had was a dominant force in Chigwell politics for many, many years, and knew his own mind, and that could sometimes, it was always enjoyable jostling with him. Brian Sandler, again, a man of great integrity, great humour. I said a lot words to that effect at the previous meeting, and it's both of them very long service. Maggie, very, very dedicated, and it was interesting to hear that she'd filled so many posts over the years. And Gagan Mahindra, well, he's gone on to a higher calling maybe, and he spent many years and was a very dedicated public servant and a very nice guy. I wish them all well in their new ventures, and I hope they do get some rest.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, I'd just like to add my recognition of the contribution all these members have made. We've got 2 former leaders there, 3 former portfolio holders. Brian Sandler served for many years leading the District Development Management Committee, or the Control Committee as it was. And also the members who served a shorter time but also made an important contribution to the council but have had to move on for various reasons. Amy Beales, Deborah Roberts and Gavin Chambers. Whether you're here for a long time or a short time, there's a job to be done, and all these members carried it out and left their mark on what's happened in the community, and it's right that we mark their contribution. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Stephen Murray.
Thank you, Chairman. I obviously acknowledge the contribution of all the members listed on 8B. All have made a good contribution. Just mention 3 by name. Brian Sandler, I think the only thing I would add is his outstanding contribution to the field of planning. Again, didn't agree with everything that he said or voted for, and Brian recognised that at his last meeting at Plan South. But I said at length that meeting what I felt about his outstanding involvement, but I just wanted to flag that. Maggie McEwen, I think the only 2 things that I would add, I agree with everything else that has been said, was her role as housing portfolio holder. That is a tough job. I've done it myself over a number of years, and I thought that she did it very well and was very impressed. And again, I think I may have said this at the last meeting, but I don't think we should really acknowledge Maggie's contribution to public life in our area without mentioning her husband Gerald. I know his contribution was at County Hall, but that doesn't often get picked up locally. So I would like to also put on record his contribution, because I always saw them really as the McEwen team that you almost took on at your peril. And then John Natman. Really difficult to know what to say about John, because he was a complete one-off, very loyal to his political allegiance, but I think all of us who knew John well knows that he was a complete and utter maverick. And I mean that in the kindest of ways. John knew what he was going to say when he spoke, but I don't think any other member of council knew what he was going to say until he spoke. And probably the most worried people in the room were the leadership of his own group. Some of the faces that I used to see as I always sat in my normal seat in the chamber when John spoke among cabinet members were an absolute picture. And I say, well, John, I say well done to John. And for new members here, never be predictable in what you're going to say. If you can learn that from John, that's a good thing. And I think the final remark I would make, and I say this as a Loughton councillor, we weren't happy when Loughton Broadway Ward went into Chigwell to make the Chigwell and Broadway county division. I think it's a very odd division, but that's not for us to debate tonight. But it is for me to recognise that I think John never forgot that part of his county division was the Broadway ward, and that didn't go unnoticed in Loughton, and that was respected by the traders in Loughton, and that was respected by local people in Loughton. So I say well done, John, for realising during his term of office that the Chigwell division included the Loughton Broadway ward on the county council. Well done, John.
Thank you very much. Could you switch off your mic? Thank you very much. Okay, item 9, report of the appointment panel. I would ask the leader of council to present the report to us. We take it at a time. If there is a reason to vote, it will be a named vote. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Chairman. Deep breath time, and who forgot to bring their water to get them through this? So maybe be a dry and long report. First of all, can I thank the appointments panel for meeting last week, and my apologies that it was put off for a couple of days. So it was good that everyone got together last Thursday. So we've covered most of the points, but there will be a couple of votes this evening because that's what makes the annual full council. Before I get started, I think it would be just worthwhile putting on note my thanks, and I believe the Chairman's thanks and the Vice Chairman's thanks and everyone else's thanks for this year, because I think we've spoken an awful lot about the brilliant contribution of our officers and teams out in the field and what's been done on behalf of local residents by the council. But also I'd like to thank all councillors, whether they're in the executive or on select panels or whatever role they play within the council, because I think everyone has done their best for their communities during what has been probably one of the most difficult years we'll ever live through, in my lifetime, I hope, and in my children's lifetime. We've never been through anything like this, but I do think everyone has played their part and given their best contribution through what has been a very difficult year. So I'd just like to put on record my thanks to all members for that, and I hope that we do enjoy in the year ahead that partial, slow unlocking that will keep us all safe, but brings us all back together again. Because I think it's brilliant what we've done over the past year with Zoom and Teams and the distance working together that we've done. But there's nothing that replaces a meeting like tonight when we're all sitting in a room together. And I know it's restricted and we're walking around with masks on and it's not quite the same as it used to be, and you can't see what's going on behind you, and yeah, it's a funny place. But I tell you what, I'd rather be doing this than sitting at the end of my PC this evening. So can I thank the officers for all that's gone into making this happen tonight as well. So let's get on with the appointments panel bits and pieces. Some of it's quite easy and starts with we go on to the yellow and start on page 11 where we've got the constitution of the political groups, and I'm sure members on Appendix 1 we can take this as being read. Thank you. Yeah, okay. John has just reminded me quite rightly, I should also go on to recommendation 4 first of all and note the leaders, deputy leaders, whips of each group for the year ahead, and I'm sure we can all agree that. Okay. We then go on to the makeup of the Cabinet and Cabinet committees on Appendix 2 on page 13 of the yellow. I have made some changes to the Cabinet this year, but first of all, again, I will say how brilliantly the Cabinet has worked over the past year, in my opinion. We did an awful lot of kitchen Cabinet meetings throughout the year, where we were meeting some evenings, on a regular basis, just to discuss the latest news, what was going on, how things were going within our own Cabinet areas, and we were discussing a lot of issues on that basis, as well as our formal meetings. So can I thank the Cabinet for the time they gave up last year, and actually kept me sane sometimes during those long days of the first lockdown in particular, when we really did work very, very closely together, and I think it enabled our working with the council as a whole to get things done quicker. But this year I have made some changes, and I've increased the size back of the Cabinet back up. Because as we unlock, I believe there will be an awful lot of work to do. I probably made a couple of the cabinet roles too big last year. And I pick out in particular housing and community, where the person who jumped up the most at full council, I think, was Holly Whitbread, who's probably got more times than the leader to answer questions and did a brilliant job in that role, but I have decided to divide it into two and to bring some of the private housing issues in within housing. Housing is a key and most important service that we provide to many of our residents locally, and there's a lot of work coming forward next year. I know the select panel will be busy, and I know the cabinet member will be busy in the year ahead, so I think that's the right thing to do. Community will need special focus, and there is much to do in that area as well. And I've asked Councillor Patel to step in and take on that community role in an expansion to what he currently does. Finance is key to everything we do. If you're not a financially strong council, you will struggle in the years ahead. John has done a brilliant job over the past year with our finances, along with the finance team, who have been first class for this district. But we have challenges ahead. I have to say, the pandemic has left us, despite the fact that the government has been very generous with our money during the pandemic, and we've been able to do a lot of things for our businesses and in support of our community. It has left us in a position where we have to be very careful of our finances in the years ahead, and there are big challenges there. And you will note for that reason I've also brought Qualis now into the financial arm as well, because I believe that will need additional focus in that respect as well. It is vital for this council that Qualis is a success at each of its different levels. And please remember, Qualis is not just a development company, it's a management company for our housing repairs as well, and a whole range of other issues. And it is vital for the success of this council in the years ahead. And remember, it's a council-owned company, and its success will be for the benefit of our residents. That's what will enable us to keep council tax low and to protect those frontline services we all care about. So I have increased John's role in the year ahead. I have also changed Sam's role. Sam was doing a brilliant job for us on the corporate side and communications, along with our brilliant communications team, headed up by Tom and co. But we need Sam doing a bit more, and we need to be doing a lot of work around partnerships, and we need to be looking at parking and a range of issues that Sam will be taking care of in the future. I am particularly interested in how we work with our partners in the community. There is a lot of change going on at the moment, and you're hearing the word partnership growing through the pandemic and post-pandemic, and we will need to work closely with our partners in the future. Even this new revitalised civic offices is about partnerships, and again, it's going to be very important that Sam is engaged in that and building on those partnerships for the future. And when we talk about partnerships, I talk about the way that we engage with the library services, the way we engage with CAB, the way we engage with a whole range of different partners that are important to all our residents. So that really is in the back of my mind when we were doing that. And then, of course, I keep saying every year, or it seems like I've been doing it for the past 8 years at least, the local plan. We need to deliver the local plan. And we need to deliver a local plan that works for our communities. And we've seen that over some of the stresses and strains of the past year, as we've had to deal with the requirements of Natural England and others to make the local plan work. And of course, that is the field of Nigel Bedford, who's done a brilliant job over the past year, under trying circumstances sometimes. So we want to put that to bed this year. The main modifications are coming in the summer, and the sooner we can deliver this local plan and move on with it, the better. It will be better for our residents because there'll be certainty, and there'll be protection as well from developers who want to put things anywhere when we want to go with a good plan for our district that's been built up over many years. So I know Nigel's got a tough year ahead. I've also brought in Les Burrows into the cabinet this year, and he is going to be working alongside on some of those special projects with Nigel. As you will see, Nigel's struggling this evening in pain with his bad hip and should be having an operation shortly to rectify that. But Les has come in and he will be helping with special projects, and there's many, especially as we go through the renewal phase for our community. There will be a lot to do. So welcome to Les into the Cabinet this year. Nigel Avey is still doing environmental and technical services, and he again has a wide range of issues to deal with there. We have leisure, which has gone through a very tough time during the pandemic. Again, whilst there's been a lot of support from the government for leisure services and leisure facilities as a whole, there is a challenge ahead of us. I'm sure they're coming strongly back now, because I'm sure, like, we're all keen to get back together again. There are people who need to get healthy and be able to do their suit buttons up again. So I'm sure leisure will bounce back like so many businesses across our community, but we need to keep a watching eye on that as things advance. We also have a waste contract that we need to be mindful of and to make sure that's performing well and looking at the future. And we have other issues there that we need to address. Nigel, of course, also has the Highways Rangers as well, and that's something I want to see built upon. And I'm sure you'll have all seen around your communities now, the Highways Rangers are starting to do some brilliant work in our towns and villages, and I'd like to really commend what they've been doing, particularly over the pandemic, because we've seen some of the hotspots addressed in our high streets, both in Epping, Waltham Abbey, I believe in Ongar as well. There's been works done, and they really have been an asset to our council, and it was one of the best moves we did last year to bring the Highways Rangers in-house, and I see that as something I want to see expanding as we move ahead. So Nigel will be pressing on with that for us as we go. And last but not least, I will be welcoming Darjan Sunga into the Cabinet to deal with corporate services, and Darjan will be working alongside myself on a number of issues as well. You've seen that I've taken on board a number of issues that I want to deal with in the year ahead. And of course, again, much of what we will be doing will be about that renewal that is so important to our community as we unlock and move forward. So that will be my team for the year ahead, and it's set out on page 13. With regards to the Cabinet committees, these are appointed by myself. They will be a similar makeup to last year with the relevant Cabinet members included. I believe we can do that as a leader's report in due course, but that will be taken care of. Members, can I agree those?
Before you do, Leader, we have Councillor Murray. He would like to.
Thank you, Chairman. I don't intend to attempt to respond to all the comments that were made by the leader, many of which I agree with. But I do think it's important that a non-cabinet member and perhaps a non-member of the majority group does just share a few reflections on the cabinet and these proposals. I want to say thank you for the work that the old cabinet did last year. Up till a few weeks ago, it had been my intention to give you the impossible mark of 10 out of 10, which comes really difficult as a teacher because you never give 10 out of 10. You've always got to leave room for improvement. But I thought that the way the council, led by your leadership, Councillor Whitbread, and the leadership of the cabinet, have dealt with and the officers, of course, dealt with the changing tides and circumstances of COVID really have to be acknowledged, because people are going to have different views about what went well, what you got right. But I don't think any of us really would have wanted to have dealt with that situation. So yourself and the cabinet steered a difficult course really well. The reason why 10 out of 10 was snatched in the final weeks, and I won't debate it at length, but I think you probably know the reason, and you've learned the lesson, and that was the botched attempt to impose a air mitigation pollution strategy without consulting with the other groups. So that's why I'm only going to give you 8 out of 10, but it is a lesson that you've learned, and that is really good to see. On more detailed matters, I was really pleased to see the changes in terms of the portfolio holder, in terms of community and housing services. I think to have a portfolio that just focuses on housing services across the 10 years is absolutely the right approach. Of the other things that you did mention, I just want to say again that there is a whole number of us, and this will be across the council in all groups, including your own, that intend keeping a really careful eye on the work of Qualis this year. And we will be looking really carefully at the arguments that are put forward for the transfer of any other service from this council to Qualis. And I will be quite honest, my starting position, and I think the starting position of quite a number of councillors, is that those services should stay here unless you provide an absolutely overwhelming cast iron case that they should go over to Qualis. And I think the final comment I will make, and it's nothing we can do because it's primary legislation from several years ago, is I think the cabinet model is awful. The cabinet model in local government is completely inappropriate. The cabinet scrutiny model, it gives far too much power to the hands of a few councils. This isn't the political point because it's the model that all councils are forced to adopt. And I've been here long enough to know that the much more consensual committee style of making decisions was much better, and the cabinet model effectively really excludes the vast majority of councillors from key decisions and gives too much power to just a few councillors. But that's not your fault, and that's not the Cabinet's fault. It's about time primary legislation was changed and we can go back to the old model of local government. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Councillor Whitbread.
Chairman, thank you. At least it wasn't a see me, and it was only a silver star. I can live with a silver star. Councillor Murray, thank you for your comments. I won't go over the arguments again about the clean air mitigation strategy. Personally, I do feel that there was plenty of opportunity to debate it. I am sorry now that in the July and August it wasn't debated more fully when it first came to Cabinet. I think that would have been useful. But there was plenty of opportunity. I don't regret making sure that the planning applications were freed up for many small businesses that would have gone to the wall. And I don't think that was the wrong thing to do. I do think it was important there was clarity around it, but I am sorry that it became a vicious political football on social media. And a number of comments made, particularly about myself and my family, which I'm still considering whether or not some of them are worthy of action. But that's by and by. I'm not going to let that sour this evening. But some people were very irresponsible on social media and let themselves down very badly. But we move on from there. With regards to Qualis, that is the duty of scrutiny. And I think it's very important that scrutiny plays an important part in looking at Qualis. And that's one of the things that, of course, we've got Councillor Phillip now there to field those questions and to deal with that scrutiny. I would say to members that I personally believe that Qualis is the way forward for this council and will help us to deliver on the income and revenue streams that we will require for the future that will help this council to protect frontline services. And that's what it's all about. Low council tax, protecting frontline services and moving this district forward. It is not a unique model to Epping Forest. It's been done in other places as well. What we want to do in Epping Forest, and with your help from scrutiny, we will make sure happens, is that our version of this company works well. And we will do our best, and we will all do our best on both sides, the executive and scrutiny, to make sure it works. Like you, Councillor Murray, I can remember the days of the committee system. I can remember the days how it held back leisure services, the committee system. It did work for some things and didn't work for others. So I think at some point in the future, when government sits down one day and looks at how local government runs best, it will look at different ways of doing things. It might not be the cabinet committee system, and it might not be the old-fashioned committee system, but there is a better way of delivering local government. But I think that's for a future debate, and I don't think that's for tonight.
Thank you, Councillor. Could we actually agree the leader appointments, the cabinet and cabinet committees, please? Thank you. Can I ask you to continue, Councillor Whitbread?
Of course. Thank you very much. So we now move on to... I always lose track of myself when I'm doing page 17. So we're now on to the planning committees. Plans East is set out before you, and I'm putting forward Councillor Paul Keska as chairman and Councillor Heather Brady as vice chairman. Can I take that as being agreed? There is no dispute to that? Thank you. Plans West is as set out on page 18 with Councillor Stephen Heather as chairman and Councillor Dave Durrell as vice chairman. Otherwise, it's as set out. Can I take that as being agreed? Okay, we then move on to Plan South, which is as set out. From the Conservative group, are putting forward Joe Shaberna as chairman and Ken Williamson as vice chairman. And then there is a further nomination for chairman from the Loughton Residents groups of Judy Jennings. So there will be a vote on that one.
Okay. Councillor Brooks, can you wait for the microphone? Sorry.
Members, I don't speak lightly tonight on this matter. I've been, Councillor Jennings has served her apprenticeship on Loughton Town Council first, where she was our mayor between 2015 and 2016. She then joined this council, and for 5 years she served on Plans South. So she's learnt something about planning. She has experience of chairmanship and licensing, and whether you like it or not, planning is not a party political matter, and the residents group do hold a great number of seats in the south of the district. And we're looking for a fair chairman. It's not personal to the ones we've had already, but it would be lovely for the residents of Loughton to see that it's not done on party political lines. Thank you, members.
Councillor Murray.
Thank you, Chairman. Unless something else irks me tonight, this will be the last item that I will speak on, but it's certainly something I feel strongly about. I would endorse everything that Councillor Brooks, my ward colleague, says. Both nominees for the post of chairman are fine and can do the job, and Judy will bring her experience as she hasn't done the job before. My remarks, I think, really are about political fairness and public perception. We all realise the political reality in this council. The Conservatives have got a stonking majority, and I recognise that. I might add, based on 51% of the vote in May, but or in fact 49% of the district council vote and 51% of the county council vote, but that's first past the post. But they've got a stonking majority, and I congratulate them on that, and I recognise that. But that doesn't mean that they can't deny other groups a real political involvement and significant posts, and this is one of these. No one sees planning as political. Everyone completely understands that planning is non-political. And I just think, for the good of the majority group in terms of public perception out there, people do pick up how unfairly the non-Conservative groups are treated on this council. I've got lots of Conservative friends, mainly the generation of my elderly mother. I speak to lots of paid-up members of the Conservative Association in Loughton. I know them well. And they share my feelings that we are duffed up every single year politically in sharing out the jobs, and it's unnecessary. This is a non-political post. Loughton is by far the biggest part of Plan South. It just seems reasonable to anyone who's fair-minded that this could be a chairmanship that isn't given to the Conservative group and is given to the Loughton Residents Association. So I would ask the majority group councillors here tonight, in terms of your own public perception across the district and particularly within the town of Loughton, let's have a little bit of fairness tonight. Thank you, Chairman.
I should have said in the beginning, but I got distracted with the appointments, that I will be a non-voting chairman today. Councillor Whitbread.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Chairman, can I start by saying I respect each of the people being put forward as chairman of this committee. Obviously, I respect Joe, but I also respect Judy Jennings. I think you're both very good councillors. So it's not about personalities, and I'm going to take that away from it straight away. Like Councillor Murray, I haven't been here as long as Councillor Murray or Councillor Morgan, but I did come on to this council in 1998. So I remember when the Conservatives weren't in control. And I've said this to my group on many different occasions. I remember when we wasn't in control and I was a junior councillor. And I sat on the back benches and I watched year on year as names that are now long forgotten were voted out of being chairman for district development, were voted out as chairman of Plans A and Plans B. And we were, as members used to say to me, the Conservative group were given the scraps off the table. Unfortunately, I think now for other groups on this council, chickens come home to roost. And this Conservative group, as quite rightly is acknowledged, has a substantial majority on this council. And we represent a big part of what constitutes Plan South. Chigwell, Buckerstill, we have a good amount of representation in. I accept, unfortunately, we don't have any representation in Loughton itself. But of course, we have a big interest in the whole of the district because we are district councillors. So I will not be withdrawing either my nomination for chairman or vice chairman from Plan South this evening. That is my position, that is my group's position. It's not a political position on planning. Planning is a quasi-judicial role where we have to make sure that we apply the highest ideals of planning. But it still comes down to the fact that the Conservatives have got a large number of councillors and a large number of quality councillors, as have other groups. But we will be putting our councillors forward for those chairmanships and vice chairmanships. I will not be withdrawing.
In that case, can we go to the vote, please?
Yes, Chairman. I will call out names and then you have to reply whether you're for which councillor and if you want to abstain from the vote. Is that how it goes, Gary? Right. Jennings. Therefore, when I say your name, if you could tell me which way you're voting, please. Right, Councillor Balcombe. Councillor Baldwin. Councillor Barlow. Councillor Bassett. Councillor Bedford. Councillor Bolton. Councillor Brady. Councillor Brooks. Councillor Burrows. Councillor Durrell. Councillor Hadley. Councillor Heap. Councillor Heather. Councillor Bob Jennings. Councillor Judy Jennings. Councillor Joggia. Councillor Jones. Councillor Sam Kane. Councillor Kesker. Councillor Lee. Councillor Leppert. Councillor Lyon. Councillor Matthews. Councillor McCready. Councillor McIver. Councillor Morgan. Councillor Murray.
Councillor Judy Jennings.
Councillor Neville.
For Councillor Judy Jennings.
Councillor Nwiki. Councillor Patel. Councillor Phillip.
For Councillor Shaburnia.
Councillor Chris Pond. Councillor Caroline Pond.
For Councillor Judy Jennings.
Councillor Rackham. Councillor Risby. Councillor Rolfe. Councillor Sartin. And Councillor Sherburnier. For yourself. Councillor Stocker. Councillor Sanger. Councillor Vaz. Councillor Chris Whitbread.
Councillor Shaburnier.
Councillor Holly Whitbread.
For Councillor Sherburnier.
Councillor Janet Whitehouse.
Councillor Jennings.
Councillor John Whitehouse.
Councillor Jennings.
Councillor Williamson. Councillor Wixley.
Councillor Judy Jennings.
Right, Chairman, I make that 31 votes for Councillor Sherburnier and 16 votes for Councillor Jennings.
Okay, thank you, members. So, Chairman, declare Joe Sherburnier for Plans South. Can we continue, please?
Thank you. Moving onwards, we go on to the Audit and Governance Committee, which is 5 members plus the 2 co-opted independents. We have it set out before you this evening. The chairman has decided at the first committee meeting of the year. Can I agree that? then go on to page 20, which is the Constitution Working Group. I need to add one additional name from the Conservative group, which is Councillor Jamie MacGyver. Other than that, it's as set out with Councillor Sherry Rackham as chairman and Councillor Mary Sartin as vice chairman. Can I take that as being agreed? Then we move on to page 21, which is the District Development Management Committee. I have one member to be notified on that, and that will be Councillor Sherry Rackham as the additional Conservative member. Other than that, can I take that as being agreed with Councillor Sue Jones as chairman and Councillor Brian Rolfe as vice chairman? Moving on to the Joint Consultative Committee, the staff side have the chairmanship this year, so the layout is as set out on this page 22. Can I take that as being agreed? Page 23 is the Licensing Committee. I have an additional member to add to that, which is Councillor Dave Stocker. Members, it's as set out. Was there a change to that committee I need to be aware of? I think the Chief Executive has it.
Councillor Whitbread, the Loughton Residents Association group to remove Councillor Caroline Pond for the subcommittee chairman. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, members. With that noted, it means we don't have to have any votes on that one. Can I take it as being agreed? Overview and scrutiny is as set out with Mary Sartin as chairman, Rob Jennings as vice chairman. Can I take that as being agreed? Then we go on to page 25, the Standards Committee, with Councillor Brian Rolfe as chairman and Councillor Pond as vice chairman. Can I take that as agreed as set out? Thank you. And then we've got the Senior Management Selection Panel, 7 members as set out. Can I take that as being agreed? And likewise, the Appeals Panel on page 26, if I could take that as being agreed. Thank you. Oh, I need a vice chairman of that. Okay, in that case, can I put down Councillor Paul Stalker? Unless someone else has wishes to put a name forward. Yeah. That will teach him to have his knee operated on and not to be able to drive. Okay, so we then move on to page 7, which is Appendix 4, and this is representations on outside bodies 21, 22. Can we take them as read, or do we need to go through them one by one? I don't think there's any contention on page 27. Oh, sorry, Mr. Waddle.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, number 2, the Epping Forest Citizens Advice Bureau. Normally there is a representative for Loughton, and Councillor Caroline Pond has nominated Councillor Rose Brooks for that.
Thank you.
We also need nominations for 1 plus a deputy for number 8, Essex Fire Police and Crime Panel. And we also need a nomination for deputy for the Lee Valley Regional Park Authority.
Okay, that becomes nice and easy. I do apologise, members. So it's Councillor Aniket Patel for the Essex Police, Fire and Crime, and Paul Stalker will be his deputy. On the Lee Valley, the substitute will be Councillor Richard Bassett. Can I take those as agreed? Okay, I believe the next page is actually quite straightforward, unless Mr. Woodall tells me differently, and he's going to tell me differently.
12A, we've got 3 nominations for 2 places for the Epping Sports Centre Liaison Group. We have Councillor John Whitehouse, Councillor Les Burrows and Councillor Holly Whitbread nominated at the moment.
we've had this discussion before on the sports centre, and I think it's an important time for Epping Sports Centre with all the changes that are going on. And I would ask that we actually talk to the sports centre, and particularly with Epping in mind, and because there is so much going on, that we can have 3 members on that committee this year. I don't think there's any harm in that. I think we should just request it. At the end of the day, it's our sports centre. If we can do that, it solves the problem.
Good idea.
Is everyone agreed on that? If they say no, I'll bring it back to full council, but I think that's the sensible way forward. Okay, is there anything else on there, Mr Woodall, or am I home and dry? Not if we get a new swimming pool in Epping.
There's nothing else on that page, Chairman.
Okay, thank you very much. Moving on to page 29. We then get on to the Leisure Contract Monitoring Board, which is about covering the whole area, and we have 6 on there. We've currently got down there 7, so it does require a vote. I'm looking at the majorities on there, and again, is this something, and I'm perhaps looking to an officer to comment, why has it got to be 6? Why can't I have 7?
We could ask for 7 if that's the will of the council.
Can we ask for 7?
I think it is the right idea, actually. The right approach.
Okay, and on that basis, subject to me having to come back to full council again, having to have a special meeting in the conference hall, just because I like meetings, can we take that as being agreed on that page 29? Okay. Page 30 is technical and is officer based. Can we take that as being agreed? Thank you. Yeah, they will do. Yeah, they will do. Councillor Patel was just telling me that some of the names need to change, but again, it's a technical change, and I'm sure we can just do that as we go along. And then we go on to the leaders' appointments. They're all quite straightforward, all set out on page 31. Can I take those as being agreed? Page 32. Can I take those as being agreed? Brilliant. And that is the appointments panel done, members. So if we can go back to the actual recommendations for the appointments panel, can we take those as being agreed on block? Thank you very much. Back to you, Chairman.
Thank you, members. So we have, we now on item 10, scheme of delegations. Members, the Constitution requires that the scheme of delegation should be agreed at the annual meeting. You have a report in front of you, and it is really for the new members. This is a reference document setting out clearly who has the authority to make decisions in the council. So can we take it as read? Yes? Okay, thank you. Item 11, council meeting dates for 2021-2022. It is again a requirement of the Constitution that the programme or ordinary meetings of the Council be approved at the annual meeting of the Council. So you have the 2021-22 ordinary meetings of Council on the following dates: 29th of July 21, 28th of October 21, 16 December 21, 24 February 22, 5th of April 22, 26th of May 22. Members, you agree on this recommendation of the dates? Thank you very much. Item 12, exclusion of public and press. Members, I don't think there is a need to exclude public and press, so I'll conclude this meeting at 8:20 p.m. Have a safe trip home. Thank you.